Today we're learning about that end point. Whenever we finish a tefillah, we say a special Kaddish. And it's not just for the sake of repeating Kaddish and Kaddish and Kaddish. Each Kaddish has its own particular significance about why we're saying it and when we're saying it. Just to remind you how we got here, we went through all of the tefillah from the very beginning, from the start, right through to the whole Amida. After that was Tachanun Nefilat Apayim, Tachanun. After that was the moment when we withdrew from the Beit Knesset and we were all at home. So I leapfrogged over Kriyat HaTorah and went straight into the issues of Ashrei and Lamnatzech Uval Tzion. We spent a period of time on that, the Tefila of Uval Tzion particularly, because it has so many layers to it, and talked about its significance. That was over the course of several shiurim. And then with the arrival of Shavuot, I doubled back, if you will, and then focused on Kriyat HaTorah. We had 3 sessions about what the liturgy signifies regarding a Kriyat HaTorah, why it matters so much, and why it's sandwiched right in the middle of our act of tefillah, of prayer. We see prayer and Talmud Torah, tefillah and Talmud Torah, as on a certain level, 2 sides of the same coin, of a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and communication, if you will, in both directions on a certain level that is ongoing. So if you're looking in any siddur right after Uval Tzion Goel, in the case of Shachri, Mincha, it's after the Amida. In Mariv, it's after the Amida. We recite a Kaddish. By the way, after Musaf, we would recite it on Shabbat and Yom Tov. We say this Kaddish Titkabel twice. Once after the Amida of Shachri, once after the Amida of Musaf. So I'm just trying to find it here in the Koren Siddur. You can find it on page 183. And if you're looking in the Siddur, in the Art Scroll Siddur, you'll find it in the bottom, page 156. That's how we got to this point, okay? So let's understand that the basic semantics and issues and learning about Kaddish, we actually started to do in the I did a session on Chatzi Kaddish. I should probably do again. It's already probably 5, maybe 6 or 7 years since I did a multi-part series called What is Kaddish? I have to go back and do it again, as I think, hopefully, I hope people would, in fact, benefit from it. But until we get there, I'm actually going to focus today on exactly one sentence in this whole Kaddish. Oh, Karen, please go ahead. Unmute.
I was just adjusting my lamp. Sorry.
You know, well, you can already have a question. I haven't even said anything yet. Okay, so it goes. When we finish, now back to a regularly scheduled shir. When we are finished davening, we say Kaddish. Why do we say Kaddish altogether? What is the significance of Kaddish being in Aramaic? What are these words that we're saying on and on? What is the basis for the prayer of Kaddish in Tanakh? Where did Chazal bring it from? Obviously, it's sourced in Tanakh, but why is it so significant? Why is it called the Davar Shebi Kedusha? It is a matter that is associated with sanctity. The whole prayer is called Kaddish, even though it's its second word, not its first word. What is the significance of these responses? So I did a multi-series shir on that. Come back to another time. What makes Kaddish, this Kaddish called the full Kaddish, Kaddish Shalem, also called as Kaddish Tiskabel, unique? It appears in one sentence on the top of page 158 in the art scroll. In the Koren, it would be, oh, I made a mistake. It's not on page 183, excuse me. It's on page 179 in the Koren, Siddur. Titkabel Tzloton is, it says, there's a little note there on Tisha B'Av, you omit that verse. So, Titkabel Tzloton Uvalaton, you can read a beautiful translation, either translation. We hope that the prayers and the requests of the whole house of Israel before their Father in heaven should be accepted, should be acceptable. Yeah? So just that is the one sentence I want to focus on, because that's what makes the Kaddish here unique. And why it needs to be mentioned here has to do very much with that one sentence, and the idea that when we finish with our tefillah, we're at the close of davening. When we end, we want to amplify the idea that we're being Makadishim Shemaim, we're sanctifying God's name. So we're going out into the world, we're going to do that now out in the world. Go get them, right? Like represent Hashem well. Now, again, why is it Aramaic? Why labyrinthine words? Why is it focused on several different themes? That's not for today. Just one sentence for today. The Kaddish that comes after davening, its function includes this line, which is unique to it. Contrast that with the mourner's Kaddish, which is actually how we finish the Tefillah, whether after Aleinu or after Shushal Yom, which is exactly the same, barring that one sentence that's not in there, except the prayers and the requests. That makes sense why, right? That it should be out. Because this Kaddish is the Kaddish that follows on an Amida. Standing before Hashem, before we take our leave of God, we say this Kaddish Titkabel, it's Kaddish Shalem. So look with me at some sources, and let's try to understand them, this tefillah on a little bit of a deeper level. What I'm presenting today is largely taken from a sefer published posthumously of Torah of Rav Soloveitchik on tefillah. It's not something that he wrote directly. It's based on lectures that he gave. So I'm going to try to present some portion of it, and I have a couple of things to add. In order to understand this sentence and why it's so significant, I'm starting in a way that will sound at the face of it circuitous, but let's get there. I called it the Kaddish to request acceptance of the Tfilat HaTzibur, the prayer of the community. Because when you're praying on your own, you don't recite Kaddish. It needs to be in the presence of a minyan. And not only does it need to be in the presence of a minyan, but it would seem that it has to be in such a way that you actually have a prayer leader. It's not just that the people praying together, but someone led a particular tefillah, meaning the tefillah of the tzibur itself, of a chazarat hashatz nature in shachrit and mincha. At Maariv, not necessary, right? But we say the point is we daven together. We're hoping now, please accept our prayers. We asked God already 15 times, please accept our prayers. What's this one doing here? So here's a particular formulation. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot and Davav notes, Abba Binyamin Omer, Ein tefillah shel Adam nishmat, ela beit hakneset. The prayers of a person are not heard other than prayers offered in the Beit Knesset in the shul. That seems rather revolutionary considering it's a basic tenet of Judaism. You can pray wherever and whenever you are. What is he talking about? So there are those who understand this sentence as really meaning to somehow perhaps emphasize that while it's true you could pray anywhere, the real best place to pray, the optimal place to pray is actually in the Beit Knesset. Shenamar, what's his source for it? Lishmoa el harina ve'el hatfila. To hear the Rina and the Tefila. What is the Rina and the Tefila? So, b'makom Rina, sham tehei Tefila. In the place of Rina, that's where there should be prayer.
As we say on Slichos. We say it on Slichos.
Right. We quote the pasuk exactly, on Slichot. Right, exactly. So now look at Rashi on this Gemara in Brachot. B'makom Rina, b'beit HaKnesset, in the shul. Shesham omrim hatzibur shirot v'tishbachot b'neimat kol arev. Mark this down in your notebook. Rashi writes, the function of the shul, of the Beit Knesset, of the house of assembly, is because there the community sings songs, words of praise with beautiful melodies and sweet voices. You can pray in your house, but you want to get together and sing together with the rest of Klal Yisrael. That's where we gather. That's our place. B'makom Rina, sham tehei Tefila. In the place of song, that is where there should be prayer. Now, what's amazing about this, of course, is that it reminds us how important singing and music is to the Tefillah. And unfortunately, we find ourselves now, because of certain health restrictions, may they soon be just a distant and somewhat strange memory. We actually have the CDC telling us you may not sing in shul. It's aser, Medina de Machuta. So
Rabbi,
I'm not going to make a comment that we should violate the rules and the strictures of the government, but it is interesting, according to Rashi, what's so significant? How did Abba Binyamin say, where are the prayers of the person going to be accepted? In the place of the Beit Knesset. How do I know? Because there's a description of the Beit HaMikdash as to that the Tefila offered at the time of the inauguration of Beit HaMikdash is the dedication to hear the singing and the prayer. In the place of the singing, that's where there should be prayer. Shelley, please go ahead.
Okay, but I thought it was the Beit HaMikdash, but remember, they played instruments in the Beit HaMikdash too. So is this the voice singing, or is this we don't have the instrument singing it, the instrument
that's true. Rashi seems to clarify right here in the Gemara that the Rina being referenced here means the song, not the music. B'ni'imat kol arev means with a melody of a sweet sound, sweet voice. Karen.
And is this, Rabbi, because we are emulating the Levium? Is there that link to the Levium in the Beit HaMikdash?
So that's more what Shelley's asking, that the people who played instruments and sang the songs were the Levium. The Gemara Masachet Erechin on Daf Yud Aleph has, I believe it's there, he debates what's more important. The Iker Shira is Bepeh or Bekli, what's more important, the singing vocally or with the instruments. But I think there is an element of that. Don't forget, when these words were spoken, we'll see them in a minute, they're down here. Shlomo HaMelech said them, they're down here on the page. Shlomo HaMelech said them where at the dedication of the temple. So he wasn't talking to the Levim, he was talking to all the people who came to the dedication. This is the place of song and the place of prayer, right? And may God hear the song and the prayer. In the place of the song, that's where prayer should be heard. Now, I don't think that Abba Ben Yamin meant to say, if you don't go to shul, no point in davening. We have many, many, many statements in Chazal that contradict that idea, that he couldn't have meant something that radical. But he means there's a value to davening inside a shul. By the way, this is also the source for the idea that perhaps an individual going by themselves, even without a minyan, to daven inside the space of a shul, in the place of the Beit Knesset, the place designated for prayer, where the Sifrei Torah are, that might have inherent significance in one's prayer because one is in that place. This version of it, though, of Ab Binyamin, if you look carefully, his proof text is about the singing of the community together. It's a communal effort. That's what gives it its staying power. The question is, what does the word Rina mean? Rav Soloveitchik wanted to understand, what does the word Rina mean? I translated it as song, but what kind of song? What kind of voice? So in the book of Eicha, Lamentations, we have the sentence, Kumi Roni Valayla Rosh Ashmurot, arise and sing at night. Singing at night? Very strange. What do you mean sing at night? Are you happy? It's the middle of the book of Lamentations. We keep reading. Shivchi kamayim libeich nochel pnei Hashem. Sounds devotional. Pour out your heart like water before the presence of God. But then it keeps going and says, Siye lav kapayich al nefesh olalayich hatufim berav b'rosh kol chutzot. Raise up your hands towards God in supplication for the souls and the spirits of your young ones, your infants, who are wrapped up in their starvation on every street corner. Meaning, there's a problem here, and the Kumi Roni Valayla doesn't mean to get up and sing songs of gladness and joy, but of supplication and of wailing and of something that is petitional, but also that is stricken with a certain element of that which is baleful, grief-ridden. Look at...
Rabbi, does that mean that Chana's prayer is a Rina?
Yeah, could be.
So
I don't remember a pasuk there that uses the word Rina per se, but perhaps it does. That's definitely a supplicatory prayer, but does it use that expression? It might. Ira, you want to say something?
Maybe that's why in the Kaddish Yatom, maybe that's why Titkabel is omitted from there.
Meaning, go ahead, meaning?
Meaning because in Titkabel, when we're dealing with the Rina and the dealing with the singing aspect of it, when someone's saying Kaddish, they're in mourning, they're grieving.
Nice. Very nice. And therefore, it's not appropriate to mention something about the singing. Okay?
Right.
Yeah, could be.
Aren't you grieving if your child is starving to death?
Well, exactly. That's Rav Soloveitchik's point. Wait a minute. The word Rina doesn't always mean happy things. So he says, number one, Kumi Roni V'Layla Rosh Hashmurot actually is get up and wail in the middle of the night at the start of the guards, meaning the changing of the guards, but it means wail. But then contrast that with certainly it's joyous, Kol Rina V'Yeshua B'Oli Tzadikim. That's very, very happy. Min Hashem Osachayil. By God's right, does he make might? Right? So
Rabbi?
that's a totally different approach. Helen, is that you? Go ahead.
Yeah, how about Rani Akora? And my daughter's name is Rina. How does that fit in when you say Rani Akora?
Right. So that, by the way, another great example. What does Rani Akara mean? It seems to be the wailing of the Akara, or maybe it's the joy of the Akara of being able to have children. And certainly the word Rina, Kol Rina v'Yeshua, is joyous. I don't think anybody's naming their child Rina. You tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think you named your child Rina in order to have the idea of wailing. But clearly the word Rina has multiple meanings. A Rina is potentially happy and potentially sad. It's the sound of a voice that is filled with passion and perhaps pathos that is expressing itself in a song. That song could be an elegaic form of music, right? Or it could be a jubilational form of music. These are two different types, but that's the Rina. The question is, what did Shlomo HaMelech mean? And that's the quote in the Gemara here, Masachet Brachot, when he said, Lishma ala Rina vela Tefila. Rav Soloveitchik says he perhaps meant both. That Rina means you should hear God, the joyous song of the Jewish people and their prayer. You should also listen to the Rina. Sometimes that Rina sounds more like wailing, like in the sense of the book in Lamentations, than it does in the sense of Kol Rina v'Yeshua. And again, that ambiguity, that's a great example, Helen. Rani Akara, the same idea. Lo Yalada, Rani Akara Lo Yalada. What does that mean? So also, there's an ambiguity. But if you look in the dedication itself of the Beit HaMikdash, the inaugural speech, the programmatic declaration of Shlomo HaMelech, delivered such as it was on the day, the glorious day, that they brought the Aron Kodesh into the Beit Kodesh HaKodashim, that they had a celebration and had many days of celebration. Vayamod Shlomo Perek Chet, the 8th chapter of Sefer Malachim, Shlomo stood before the Mizbeach of Hashem, facing the whole Kahal Yisrael, and he raised his hands to Shemayim. He davened with his hands raised. What did he say? Hashem, the God of Israel, there is no one like you in the heavens above, or like on planet Earth, right down below, who guards the covenant and the kindness for your servants, who walk before you with all of their heart. You have kept this for your servant David, my father, that which you spoke to him, and you spoke directly, and in your hand was it possible to fulfill, and you did fulfill, meaning he says to Hashem, today. And now Hashem, God of Israel, guard for David your servant, my father, that which you promised him, saying that there will not be anyone who will cut off the chair, the throne of Israel from your family, right? But only if you must keep your children their way, to follow in the path before me as you have walked before me. So he said to David, that's the promise that goes to David through Natan that we saw in Shmuel Bet in our Shurim there, and it's repeated actually by David to Shlomo before David dies. He makes sure to tell him this. So now at the inauguration of the Mikdash, this is what Shlomo is telling the people, reminding them about all this. V'atalo ke'Yisrael ye'amen na dvaracha asher dibarta la'avtecha David avi. May all of this now come true and fulfilled. Right? So, and then the rhetorical question, that is the mysterious question that we have, that Moshe Rabbeinu has, Shlomo HaMelech has it on the day of the inauguration. Ki ha'unam, indeed, will God dwell upon the earth? Behold, the heavens and the highest heavens. Sorry, I'm having problems here highlighting it. Is this true? The heavens and the highest heavens cannot contain you. Will this building contain you? Question mark, exclamation point. I answered rhetorically as, no, not really, but you gave us the mitzvah to build you a building. We did it. We're here. This is exactly the same thing as the Medrash describes that Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, God tells him, okay, make for me a sanctuary and I'll dwell in your midst. And God is asked by Moshe Rabbeinu, what do you mean? You don't fit anywhere. You're not in time or space. He wants to build you a structure and meet you there. So what does God tell Moshe? Not like you think, Moshe. Rather, I'm telling you what to do. Take 20 boards this way and 10 boards that way. Put the gold on it, etc., etc. God tells Moshe, yes, you're going to build a structure. Yes, it's going to be a meeting place, by the by. Not because God needs it, but we need it. Changes our atmospherics, changes our attitude, hopefully, by going to shul. I hope that the contrast of so many of us still not able to go into shul and some of us being able at this moment to go into shul puts us on notice, though. We're not in our home. We're not in our living room. We're in a meeting with a Kaddish Baruch Hu, and that sense of Yirat Hashem and Yirat HaMikdash, Mora HaMikdash, reverence for the place should be really front and center. Now look what happens in the next verse. After this expression of wonderment, Shlomo HaMelech says, Ufanita el tfilat avdecha vel tchinato. You shall turn, means you shall pay attention to the prayer of your servant. It's a hope, not a demand. And to his supplication. A tchina is a request and a petition. But a form of supplication, Hashem Elokai, Hashem my God, lishmor al Rina vel tefila asher avdecha mitpalel lefnecha hayom. To hear the Rina and the Tefila. You hear it right here? Everyone sees it, yeah, on the screen? Lishmor al harina vel Tefila. To listen to the Rina and the Tefila asher avdecha mitpalel lefnecha hayom. Liot einecha fetuchot, your eyes, so to speak, should be open to this house. El habayit hazeh, to this house that was built by to your specifications, based on what you told us to do. How often? Laila vayom, night and day. El hamakom asher amarta yeshmi sham lishmor la tefila shitpala avdecha lamakom hazeh. Right? Yeah, here again, it has to do with the place that you gave us the command to build. That's what we did. Now, you probably already had your eyes by now, I'm sure, already veered over to the left margin, where I gave you the quotation from the Targum. What does the Targum say right here? You can see it right there. It's the Aramaic translation of these psukim. V'tit penei litzlota da'avdach uluva'utei, Hashem Elokai, lekabala tzilota uva'uta. Titkabel tziloton uva'uton. Now look at the prayer in the Siddur. Titkabel tziloton uva'uton. Lekabala tzilota uva'uta de'avda. To accept the tzilota and the ba'uta. What's tzilota? The prayer. What's the prayer? The Rina. What's the tefila? Rina vel tefila? The ba'uta. The request. This is the Aramaic translation of the words lishmor el harina ve'el hatfila. How do we end our davening each time? With a Kaddish in which we recite the line. By the way, according to some earlier sources, we don't paskin this way, la halacha, but there was a minhag that people would just say that sentence without Kaddish. Everyone would just say, Titkabel, Tziloton, Uvalaton. So they would say, you should accept the prayer here, the Tziluta is the tefillah of your Eved, right? And the petition. By the way, the Tzilota, the prayer, you understand? The prayer and the petition are the two aspects. At Tziluta, Uva'uta. Same thing, 2 times over. Follow? When we see this, we start realizing, you know what I'm doing when I'm finishing davening with a minyan? I'm going back to the moment of the dedication of the Mikdash, and I'm thinking about the idea, especially if I'm in a Beit Knesset, back at the top, that's the place, Lishmor la Rina vel Tefila, it's the best possible place, because that's the place that's conducive for the people getting together to sing. The first time such a song of Rina was ever offered is in Vayikra, chapter 9. This is at the moment of the inauguration of the first Mikdash, known as the Mishkan. When the Mishkan was dedicated, it describes that the people, when they saw that the fire came down from heaven and it consumed the Mizbeach and took all the offerings that were upon it, Vayar kol ha'am vayaronu. The whole nation heard it, or they saw it rather, and they had a sense of Rina. And what's that Rina? Means that something happened. What's the Rina? Here, v'chaza kol ama v'shabechu. Here the word Rina is an act of praise. It's meant in that sense. Aramaic translation. V'chaza kol ama v'yar kol ha'am v'shabechu vayaronu. But look at now. Rav Soloveitchik points this out, and he notes that you have here that Rina now can be wailing, can be the idea of petition. We have here wailing. We have joy. We have here petition and prayer. Lekabel tzelota uvauta means accepting the prayers and the requests of your servant. The translation Shmuel Rina ve'la Tefila. And then we have here the initial one back to the idea of, praise or joy. Vayar kol ha'am vayaronu, and they all fell on their faces, meaning they all bow down, but in a moment of exaltation. If you look at the verse before it, we note that it says that Moshe and Aaron came into the Ohel Moed and they went back out of the Ohel Moed. They blessed the nation, and then the glory of God appeared upon the whole nation, and then the fire came, and then they bowed down. They sang and they bowed down. Praised God through a song. Says Rashi on this verse, Vayavo Moshe v'Aaron, Lama nichsu, why did they go in? So he says, Matzadi parshim miluim bebraitan l'sefer al Torah konaim shalanu. I found this in one of the sources, without going to the details, which one? Lama nichnas Moshe imar. Why did they go in? L'lamdo masak Torah, to teach them about the idea of the Torah. They went inside for that purpose. Oh, lo nichnas el davar acher. They went in for another purpose. Okay. Skip. Davar acher, the other idea. Kevin shira Aaron shekar kirvu kol korbanot v'nasik lamasim v'lo yard Shechina Yisrael. Now that Aaron had already just now previously performed all the actions in the day of dedication, and the divine presence did not come down, Hayam Yitzter, he felt bad. Ve'amar, Yodeh ani shekasa kadosh baruch hu alai. I know that God is angry with me. He is wroth with me. Why? Because of Chet HaEgel. V'shvili lo yard Shechina Yisrael. It's because of me that that basically the divine presence didn't come down. Amar la Moshe, Aaron said to his brother Moshe, Moshe, my brother, Achi, my brother, Kach asita li, this is what you did to me. Shenichnasni tbayashti, I went in and I was ashamed. Miyad nichnas Moshe imo. Immediately, that's why the verse here says that Moshe and Aaron went in together to the Ohel Moed. Top of the page again. Now back to Rashi. Miyad nichnas Moshe imo ubikshu rachamim v'yardu Shechina Yisrael. Did you see it right there? Why did they go back in? They had one little other prayer they had to say. Please Hashem, accept the prayer of the Jewish people. Accept my brother's prayer. Titkabel tzeloton uvauton. They went in and they had a bakasha of rachamim. So they had the bakasha of rachamim right here. And then the song of praise that followed. When they came out, they gave a bracha to the people. They hoped that they told the people that God's presence should dwell upon the work of your hands. Meaning to say, it's good that you built a building. It's not going to be enough unless you actually have God's presence in your midst when you do this.
Rabbi, you still got the question of why something like this, since it's both the dedication of the temple and the Mishkan, why it would be in Aramaic instead of Hebrew. I realize that our Beit Knesset, we don't have, the Mashiach isn't here, all of that, so therefore we're in exile. But it's almost like, where's the hope? If you say it in Hebrew, there's a hope that God will fulfill his promise of bringing us back and bringing the Mashiach back.
You're right. I can't answer the question now. That's the Kaddish thing that I talked at the beginning that I'm not going to talk about today, which is the language question. You're absolutely right. I can't answer that today. That's true. You're right. You're correct. Let's look at the end point. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I was about to say. So that was the prayer. The whole 7 days of preparation for this day of dedication, Moshe put up the Mishkan, did all the service, and undid it every day. There was no divine presence dwelling therein. There was no fire from heaven. The Jewish people were embarrassed. They said to Moshe Rabbeinu, everything we worked to build this, that the divine presence should dwell in our midst, and we'll know that we were forgiven from the Egel, the sin of the golden calf, and we don't see that sign. So now he told them, okay, so now this is what you're going to do, and you will see God's presence. My brother Aaron It's all going to be through him that it's going to happen. Through his korbanot and his service, the divine presence will dwell, and you'll know that God has chosen him to be the shaliach tzibur. Get it? Aaron is the first shaliach tzibur in the Mishkan. He's doing what you have to do in the Mishkan. Now we have another shaliach tzibur. The shaliach tzibur is the one who recites the words titkabel tzloton va'uton. Rina means praise. But the idea here also that at the end, we're reminding ourselves about this concept. Rina equals this notion of tefillah. It's connected, right? And that's what the Jewish people do at that time, at the close of the Shekhinah arriving. And who caused it to happen? The Shliach Tzibur, Aaron HaKohen. Says the Abu Dram, She'omer Kaddish Achar Siddur Kol Tefila, Mosivim Besov Titkabel Tzloton Vaton Chol Yisrael Al Shem. Why do we add these words? Because of Yaakov Avinu's words, where Yaakov Avinu down here gave his bracha to Menashe and Ephraim. What was the bracha to Menashe and Ephraim? Right? He tells Yosef, I'm going to die now. God should be with you and bring you back to the land of your forefathers. But as for me, I will give you an extra portion. Which extra portion? Which I took from the Amorites. Becharbi uvekashti. I took it. Becharbi uvekashti is the language used here in the Torah. And the Uvadram says, with my sword and my bow, is translated by the Targum Yerushalmi, the Jerusalemite translation into Aramaic. Bitzluti uvivauti, with my prayer and with my supplication. And therefore, lachein samchan zelazeh, therefore the two are together. Bitzluti vauti. Here, Yaakov Avinu did not mean literally he fought a war, according to Targum Yerushalmi. It means rather that he fought in a proverbial sense through his sword and his bow, using his prayer and his supplication. Now look back at the prayer. Titkabel tzloton avoton the whole Beit Yisrael, the whole house of Israel. Right here, you see verse 21, Vayomer Yisrael. We are the house of Israel. Generally speaking, it's the nation. But much more specifically, I would argue, it actually refers to Beit Yisrael, the house that was built by Yisrael, before our Father who is in heaven. Yeah, we have an Avram Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, but really we have Avinu Shabashamayim, means HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Titkabel Tzilotun Uvoton, the prayers, and the Rina and the Tefila, the prayers and the requests of the whole house of Israel in both sentences of it, before our Father was in heaven. That's how we're ending the Tefillah. We're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please accept our Tefillah now, and please accept the Tefillah that we're offering now, that is the summation of all of these different themes all at this moment. And so may it be for us too. May we have that also whenever we daven. That's all we have time for today.